Certainly welcome.
And back here at home, our nation has lost a political pioneer. Geraldine Ferraro, the first female vice presidential candidate, passed away this morning after a 12-year battle with blood cancer. Ferraro is, of course, credited with breaking the glass ceiling in a political landscape long dominated by men. And today, politicians ranging from, of course, the president to 2008 vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin are all praising Geraldine Ferraro as a trailblazer. And we're joined now by Joan Walsh, editor-in-chief for Salon.com, and here in studio with me, New York Democratic strategist Robert Zimmerman, who worked with Geraldine Ferraro. Both of you, thank you for joining us. Joan, I'll start off with you because, you know, it's interesting. I have read so much from so many other powerful women. I've got with me Congresswoman Maxine Waters' statement. She says young girls will continue to learn about and be inspired by her ascendancy, her passion, and her mark on history as a strong woman. Nancy Pelosi's statement, she inspired women across the country to reach their own greatness. Powerful women praising a powerful woman.
Well, it was so stunning. It was so exciting, Tamara. And I was actually at that convention. It was my first convention. I was, of course, just a little girl. And, you know, the women there were thrilled, but everybody was thrilled. I mean, that convention, we had Jesse Jackson giving a speech of a lifetime. We had Mario Cuomo as well as Geraldine Ferraro. And it was really like we were finally pulling together this amazing post-New Deal coalition of blacks and women and white ethnics, you know, the whole gorgeous mosaic. And it felt that way at that convention. It really did, and of course it didn't turn out to be that way. But you know, it was really the herald of what would become the Obama coalition 24 years later. So she really should be remembered for her bravery in standing up to even people in her family at that point. Her, you know, very conservative Italian Catholic family. I'm Irish Catholic. To have that career when people were saying she shouldn't go to college because she was a woman and she was pretty.
And let me bring in Robert, and that is a part of the story, Robert, because you wonder what inspires someone, especially when, as Joan pointed out, people within your own family who believe and love you, are saying maybe not now. What was it about her personality?
What really was stunning, and she lived in the neighboring congressional district from mine, is that throughout her career, I remember when she first ran for Congress, she never lost that personal touch and that idealism and that belief in our country. And like Joan, I was also I was at the Democratic National Convention. It was my first time as a delegate. Joan and I were in the daycare center of the Democratic Convention at the time. But it was a stunning moment for women, for Italian Americans certainly, but I remember as a Jewish American thinking what a great moment this was for all of us of all ethnicities. And I think what's really compelling to remember is that while you hear a lot of candidates now talk about family values and talk about ethics and morals and faith, Gerry Ferraro lived it. Her family, her faith, those were the core that kept her focused, kept her idealistic, and kept her together. In fact, my last time with her for dinner with she and John about a bit over a year ago, we were with also famous New York Post columnist Cindy Adams at the time. The four of us.
Quite a crew you had.
Quite a crew we had. It was a lot of fun. But the great part of the evening was we talked about our families. We talked about our futures and what she believed for the future for her family. Very conscious of her place in history, but always was very humbled by it.
Joan, I had Senator Mikulski on in our last hour, and she said that she joined Congress 2 years before Gerry, and they were early birds and weren't afraid to ruffle feathers. And I wanted you to comment on the fact that even, you know, in the latter part of her life, you've got Geraldine Ferraro. She jumped into the presidential campaign, and she gave an interview in which she said if Obama was a white man, he would not be in this position, and if he was a woman of any color, he would not be in this position. He happens to be very lucky to be who he is, and the country is caught up with this concept. She took a lot of heat for those comments, and regardless of the words, it was an indicator that she was still willing to put her feelings on the line and her thoughts, at least how she saw them.
She was, and you know, you hear the queens in that. What she said factually, people in the Obama campaign were saying that there were ways in which it was an advantage for him. She later had this great interview with my friend Rebecca Traister in her book Big Girls Don't Cry, where she felt bad about it, and she described herself as kind of a lunatic at the time, but she was trying to hammer away at the fact that, you know, if she were a black woman, she probably would have wanted her children to vote for a black president. She understood that, but numerically, that was what was happening. But every time she talked about it, she dug deeper because she couldn't believe she was being accused of racism. racism,
Right.
and my heart kind of went out to her.
You know what's ironic? If you look at Jerry Ferraro's career, it's important to remember as a Congresswoman, in just 3 terms rather, 6 years, she emerged in the House leadership, and people tend to overlook that. She was a very skilled legislator, and she also served as our U.S. ambassador to the United Nations Commission on Human Rights. So I think anyone to accuse her of racism, she put herself on the front line,
yes,
not just for women, but also throughout the world, dealing with issues of racial diversity and also the need to build coalitions.
And those are the things that people are remembering today. And thank you both for coming on. Joan, thank you. And thank you for sending out that tweet. We always love to see